full gear and that lets you save.
Who cares?
True Form Life.
Green lookum.
Welcome to Exploring Mind and Body with Drew Tadia. Drew is an expert in nutrition, fitness, lifestyle, and more. And he wants to help you live a healthier, longer, and more active life. Now here's your host, Drew Tadia.
Welcome to another edition of nationally syndicated Exploring Mind and Body. As always, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for tuning in and being a part of our True Form Life community, whether you're listening on terrestrial radio across the country or as a podcast around the world. Today we're bringing on Dorothy Keith. We are talking about the rise and grind, waking up at 4 a.m. I know, crazy to some, but we've got lots of tips and takeaways talking about productivity, more energy, more daylight, so much more when so many think of so less. Stay tuned. We got all that coming up on...
This is Exploring Mind and Body. Naturally improve your lifestyle one show at a time with your host, Drew Tadia.
All right, let's get this show rocking. We got Dorothy here with us. Today we're talking about rise and grind. Welcome to the show, Dorothy.
Thanks for having me, Drew. I'm excited to be here and to talk about this topic.
Yeah, we're excited too. Always a pleasure having you back on the show. Today we're talking about rise and grind. What do you think other people think when they're like, you wake up at 4 a.m.?
You crazy. That's what they think. What's the matter with you, you crazy person?
You got some issues going on. You know, the thing is, to me, I don't see, I understand, it sounds crazy 4 a.m. To us, we started out waking up at 6, then 5 a.m. So 5 a.m. was a regular thing. And a lot of people think that's too early. So we wanted to push the envelope a bit and wake up at 4 a.m. for reasons why we're going to share on this show. But to me, it's all relevant. If you go to bed earlier and you get the same amount of hours of sleep, then you get the same amount of hours of sleep. What's the difference?
Regardless.
Yeah.
It's just that we're going to talk about here. We're going to talk about productivity and why or how you can be more productive by waking up earlier.
Exactly. So would you have a favorite or one of the things that stands out for you the most when it comes to productivity?
You know, for me, that early in the morning, 4 a.m. in the morning, the benefit or the biggest benefit that I see is that nobody else is awake. So you have less distractions. There's less people texting you or no people texting you. There's no emails coming in. There's nobody knocking on your door. If you're out for a walk, for example, we go for an hour walk when we first wake up, and we'll get into that as well and how that affects our productivity. But in general, there's less distractions at 4 a.m. so you can get right to it, right to the grind.
I love that. And it's so amazing because I feel like, so it's a transition and change. At the time of this recording, this is week 2, and I feel like the whole day has been changed and it's been more productive in many different ways. But I feel like for me, I want to send an email, or if I send an email, I should mention I don't send it right at 4 a.m. But if I send an email, then I don't have to worry about someone answering right away and then feeling obligated to answer again right away. So you don't have to play tag back and forth. So that increases your productivity right away. And then I feel like at 4 a.m., I try to stay away from the phone for at least an hour, but that's still 5 o'clock, or that's still 5 a.m. And I think that I was kind of thinking about answering people, and I was like, well, most people have their notifications on their phone. Mm-hmm. And neither of us, you don't have notifications on your phone, do you?
No, my notifications are off.
Yeah, all my notifications are off as well. So I feel like most people have the notifications on. So I feel like I want to respect people's time. So at 5 a.m., I don't feel obligated, or I don't feel like it's necessary to send any type of message to anyone that early, because I don't want to disrupt their napping.
Sleeping. They're sleeping.
Most people are sleeping. It's just like, they're probably sleeping. They're not waiting for a message from me.
That's right. And you know, another thing is I feel like I've added an hour to my day, but we didn't change anything. All we did was we did change the time that we wake up, but what I mean is we still sleep for the same amount of hours. Instead of getting up at 5 a.m. and going to bed at 10, we've just moved it back. But even with that, it feels like I've gained an hour, because in the evening from 9 to 10 or 7 onward, whatever it was, we weren't getting much work in anyway, so you might as well go to bed and get up earlier and get on the grind right away.
Well, it's funny, we talked about this a couple times. We're like, we don't really do anything, and I suppose, for us, we're achievers, I would say. Maybe would be a fair word to call ourselves, but I think you have to be careful that you're not always trying to be productive. And we've spoken about relaxing and enjoying things, but even in the evening, for example, we like to go for bike rides and hang out outside or go to the beach, whatever it is, but you're not doing that at 8 o'clock at night or even 7 o'clock at night. You're just kind of laying around, kind of waiting for bed. You're almost wasting time. So you're like, you say that we feel like we've gained an hour. I feel the same thing. It's like there's an extra hour in the day, instead of most people think like, oh, you're going to be more tired throughout the day.
Yeah, but I've actually felt like I have more energy throughout the day. And I think that comes from properly setting up a routine in the morning. You have that hour to get yourself going for the day. There's so many of us, and we used to do this too, that as soon as we woke up and as soon as our feet hit the ground, we were running, because you left yourself maybe 30 minutes to an hour to get ready for work. Or, if you have to get kids to school, you only leave yourself this limited amount of time. You're rushing through your morning, and then you already feel unproductive because you've run around like a chicken all morning or for that hour preparing to get to work or wherever you need to be. But if you wake up a little bit earlier, you give yourself that time to get ready for the day, and you already experience success before it even starts.
True Form Life.
Before we get into the show, I just want to mention Complete Truth Protein. This is a plant-based protein supplement that we've designed ourselves at True Form. And the reason I designed it is because I felt like there was a need in the industry. Now, when I was traveling around the world, and I literally had a tackle box full of supplements and products and vitamins that did a whole lot more damage than good. So when I started doing more personal training and fitness classes, people would ask me what types of supplements I would recommend. And I always say, eat food. So that's why I've designed Complete Truth Protein around food. It's made with quinoa and hemp seeds. And one of the main benefits that it offers is improved digestion. So many of us deal with digestion issues on a regular basis. It also gives you a natural boost of energy. So if you head over to trueformlife.com/complete truth protein, we have tons of more details, videos, recipes, and everything you need to get going in the right direction with a good quality protein supplement. trueformlife.com/complete truth protein.
True Form Life.
Yeah, well, one of the things that I was feeling when we were putting our morning routine together, and most of you know we've talked about this on a regular basis, how important a morning routine is that I felt like because my morning routine was becoming in-depth and a little bit longer, maybe it's a good hour, I feel like our morning routine is, then I get started an hour later in the day. So I was like, what happens if we get up an hour earlier and then we have our morning routine before the day even starts? So I feel like I'm productive throughout our morning routine. Once that morning routine is done, I'm feeling productive already. Like I've already got these things done, all the things that I want to do before my day starts. And I should mention, that's before you go to the phone. That's before we go to a computer. It's not I used to wake up and run straight to the computer and just start working. And I think it's very important for you to take that time for yourself and do the things that you need to do mentally and physically and emotionally so you can get your mind ready for a long day of work, because we work long hours. And I think it's important to take that time for yourself. So for me, I feel so much production or so much productivity going on when I feel accomplished just by getting my morning routine done and then getting on with my day.
And you know what I think is interesting is we obviously have shared this and have heard feedback, and most people think we're absolutely nuts. And we often hear, oh my gosh, I could never do that. I'm so not a morning person. I'm not a morning person at all. But what I find super interesting is Drew never was a morning person either. So Drew, I'd like to hear from you how you became a morning person.
Yeah, I think it was just slow progressions. Like for me, it came from college, and we really had little time. Like for example, we trained, like I was a college athlete, so we trained it late into the evening, and then I had to do homework, and then I worked out, and that was all like usually in that order. So I'd work out sometimes late in the evening, and it'd be 10, 11 o'clock at night, and then I'd have a chance to eat, and then I'd go to sleep, and by the time I'm done everything I need to do, it'd be midnight. And then I watch the TV. So I watch TV or try to unwind with a movie or whatever, and that's 1 a.m. So I would sleep in a bit, and I really didn't feel like I was a morning person. I would say that. I'm not a morning person. And it was because I went to bed so late. So I think it was just, I realized that once I started to get more into business and set meetings and try to be more productive, I was like, I can't sleep in till 8, 9, 10 o'clock in the morning anymore, because then your workday, if you're trying to set meetings, if you're trying to meet from people, then you have to crunch everyone, all the productivity things you want to do from 10 a.m. till from the time you wake up until, let's say, 4 p.m. So that makes your workday that much smaller. And then, of course, if you have less of a workday, you get less done. So I suppose I'm almost contradicting myself saying we're extending the days or the part of the day where no one is working, or it seems like most people are sleeping. But in this regard, I feel like making that transition really made a big difference in my life. And you're right, Dorothy, people say it all the time. We put up a post on social media. Our main Facebook page is facebook.com/trueformlife. You're welcome to follow along there. But a lot of people were like, 4 a.m. It was like a shock and awe. Like, what are you talking about, 4 a.m.? And then, of course, we had comments say, I'm not a morning person. I'd never be able to do that.
Yeah, but the thing is, you can. But like Drew was saying, it does take small progressions, and you gotta want to, right? If if that want or that drive isn't there, it's gonna be awfully difficult to maintain.
Yeah, and everyone gets up a little bit differently. Like, for example, myself, I take probably a good 10 minutes for me to wake up and shake the cobwebs out. I'm not grumpy or I'm not angry like some people when you wake up in the morning. Just takes me some time to wake up.
And I bounce in the morning. That alarm goes, I can get right up and get going. And that's it. I can't even talk to Drew for a little bit because he's not even awake yet.
and I mean, some people are like that. So they just automatically think if they can't wake up and bounce around the house like Tigger or like Dorothy, they think they can't do it, or they think they're not able to make that change in their lives. And I'm telling you, like, I was like that for most of my life, and it just slowly transitioned into going to sleep a little bit earlier and waking up a little bit earlier. This is the first time that I've woken up at 4 a.m. to work, I should mention, or as a part of my lifestyle. And I feel like it's so great. There's so many benefits to it, like we're talking about today, and I feel awesome about it. And that's why we want to share this with you, because maybe you want to consider getting up, or maybe you get up at 7 or 8 o'clock and you want to think about getting up at 6 or 7 o'clock. Whatever it is, I think you'll find more production if you can get up just a bit earlier.
And this is something that Drew and I just didn't pull out of thin air. This is something that we research. We research highly productive people and successful people. And I hope this doesn't sound creepy, but we study their daily habits so that we can follow those routines and those habits. So this is something that really successful or highly successful people are doing.
Yeah, and I think that more people than we think are doing things like this. And we're not talking about like trying to not get enough sleep. Like, we think it's very important. Like Dorothy and I both feel or understand the importance of getting a restful night's sleep. And maybe that it hasn't come up yet, but maybe if we don't sleep, for example, or we can't fall asleep, or the neighbors are banging on the walls, maybe we sleep in past 4, for example, because you're not getting a good night's sleep. But for now, this 4 a.m., and we understand how important healthy habits are, or generating and creating habits. But for us right now, it's working out really well, and we're very excited to share it with you, because we're like, all this production, all the things that we're able to do, and waking up when the sun's not even up yet, or being around when the sun's coming up. I just feel like there's such an advantage.
I love that because we have maximized our daylight time. We cannot get more daylight than we get because we see the sunrise and we see the sunset. So we get all the daylight. I love that.
We have stolen all the daylight.
We are not sleeping through any daylight. And I think that's super important to our health, is to maximize the amount of daylight, the amount of sunshine.
You know, it's so great to wake up. Like, we get up in the morning and we do some of our morning, like part of our morning routine. Then another part of our morning routine is going for a morning walk. And you get outside and you get fresh air and you hear the ocean waves. And regardless of where you are, like maybe you're in the prairies or maybe you're in the mountains, you don't get a chance to see the mountain waves, but to hear the mountain waves or feel an ocean breeze. But maybe you get a winter breeze, or maybe you get to smell pine trees instead of palm trees. It doesn't matter where you are. What we're saying here is that there's tons of benefits to getting up early and getting out and being active.
True Form Life.
Just want to take a minute to mention Complete Truth Protein again. This is a protein supplement that we designed at True Form. We believe in food. We believe food heals, cures, and prevents. That's why this product is much different than your conventional types of products. Unfortunately, packed with chemicals, preservatives, toxins that our body doesn't know how to utilize, digest, and absorb. So that's why Complete Truth Protein can help improve your digestion and will offer a natural boost of energy. You can find more details at trueformlife.com/Complete Truth Protein.
True Form Life.
And nature is so important. I think we underestimate the importance or the influence that nature has on our health. Just the serenity and the solitude of being in nature. We should be getting into nature or walking around outside every single day.
Yeah, and I think we'd forget about that in the wintertime. Like when we're in Alberta and there's cold winters and it's snowy and it's dark often. Many times, or there's some stretches in winter where you're not even able to go outside. So by taking advantage of the summer when it's a bit warmer, I think that's a great thing. But also finding ways to get outside and being around nature, maybe when it is less than desirable temperatures outside, but still finding a way to make it happen.
And I think that's where, part of our morning routine is meditation. And that's where, you can bring some of that nature into a quiet practice like meditation or breathing exercises, because we can put on, music that's of the ocean or that's of birds chirping, and we can take a silent moment or a silent few moments to ourselves to enjoy nature in a different way. Go into nature through our minds.
Yeah, I think it's a great thing. And we all, Dorothy and I both believe in visualization and meditation and breathing exercises. And you can go to different places in your mind. So if you sit and you visualize and you can see the things that you want to see and you can picture breathing in or smelling different airs, I think you can go to different places. And Dorothy and I were in Sri Lanka not too long ago, and I think sometimes it's really neat to go and do like a visualization meditation exercise and go through some of the same experiences that we went to physically, and go there just mentally and remember some of the things that we've forgotten about.
Mm-hmm. It's fun. You should try it if you have never done it.
So one of the other things is gaining energy. I'm not sure if we completely talked about that yet, but I think there's a different energy, not only in your home or in your body, but we just feel more alive getting up so much earlier. Yeah,
and it is really hard to explain unless you try it yourself, but there is just a whole new positivity, and it's interesting because it's only an hour. We used to wake up at 5 and now we're waking up at 4. But it's just so interesting how it changes our whole outlook on the day, our whole outlook on our productivity, in different business ideas, and it just is so refreshing and so opening.
Well, you know what the thing is most of us know what it's like to sleep in. I think all of us know what it's like to sleep in. So you sleep in and you feel tired and groggy. Maybe you wake up late and your alarm clock's going and you're running around the house and you feel like the whole day you're caught behind. Well, look at the exact opposite of that. Look at getting ahead of the day and being awake and alert and alive and getting stuff done before anyone else is. I think there's so much importance, there's so much significance to that alone. And then when we get up, I suppose instead of feeling like I'm late, or maybe you just sleep an extra hour or half hour, and you don't feel like for me personally, I don't feel alive and I don't feel awake. I feel like I almost feel guilty because I'm like, oh, I could have got so much more done, or I could have been watching the sunrise or gone for a morning walk, but now I slept in a half hour extra and I'm not able to do those things.
And we live in a world where we are constantly chasing the clock. And that happens a lot in the morning time. And with a solid extra hour, just think of how better you would feel about your whole day if you could wake up just an hour earlier and enter your day feeling confident, feeling relaxed, and feeling like you've already had success.
So many people say, I didn't have time to meal prep, or they say, I didn't have time to work out in the day. I'm like, meanwhile, most of us are sitting in a drive-thru or waiting to get a coffee in the morning, and we don't realize that time could be used more
productively.
Ooh, thank you.
Saved you there.
But we feel like we don't have time for these things. Like we're not making time in our day and our lives to be more productive. And I think that when it comes to running a business or being more successful in your work, or a lot of times people are like, I can't afford that. But if you spent more time working on whatever it is, maybe it's your side job, or maybe you can get an extra hour at work, or maybe you're spending an extra hour doing meditation or going for a walk or exercising, that's going to show results in other areas of your life.
Drew, I think we have our audience kind of in suspense or curiosity mode right now. And I think it would be important to share what this 4 a.m. routine looks like, or what is it that we do when we get up that early?
Yeah, I'd love to share. Do you want to start with yours, or should I start with mine?
Yeah, I suppose we do have slightly different ways we go about it. Some the same, some different.
True Form Life.
I just want to mention Complete Truth Protein here once again before I let you go. This is a protein supplement we designed ourselves, made with quinoa and hemp seeds, also maca and stevia. We have 2 different types of products. They both have tons of health benefits. You can bake the original bag, you can bake with. It's perfect for gluten-free flour. If you're celiac or gluten intolerant, we have tons of recipes on trueformlife.com, which include raw protein balls. People absolutely love these ones. We have pancakes, cookies, muffins, all healthy, all clean ingredients. Dorothy puts these together for us on a weekly basis. So if you head over to trueformlife.com, head over to the recipe section. We have all kinds of recipes on how you can use Complete Truth Protein. It's also a vegan and raw product. So if you have any intolerances or if you have any issues with digestion, this will definitely help you out. Once again, that's trueformlife.com/Complete Truth Protein.
True Form Life.
We both wake up at the same time, 4 a.m. Me, I like to write right when I wake up. Right now at this time, I'm working on a recipe book, and I have so much mental clarity right when I wake up, and more motivation as well. So the first hour from 4 to 5, I spend writing. Oh, you're going to jump in there?
I'm going to jump in there.
Okay, you jump in there.
So while Dorothy's writing, I do something a little bit differently. I wake up and I make our magnesium.
Slowly wake up.
I slowly wake up. I make our TriMag magnesium product. So if you want more details, you can head over to trueformlife.com. We have it listed there. We both take our magnesium right in the morning. Then I make our morning green tea. So we have a combination of pu'er tea and green sencha tea, tons of health benefits, antioxidant, also gives us a natural boost of energy. And then I like to read from one of my books. I have a few different books I read from. I read from one of my more, let's say, Buddhist type of books. And then I drink my green tea and I read the book, and then I'll do a meditation, all while Dorothy's working on her recipe book.
Yeah, and then from there, we join each other's company. From 5 to 6, we go for our morning walk. Sometimes we talk during our morning walk, and sometimes we don't. Just kind of depends. And usually we try our best not to talk about too much business stuff if we are talking.
Yeah, I think like for us just to get out and breathe some fresh air and see different sights, like we're very fortunate to where we live. We're basically walking along the beach or around the beach area through parks, and there's so much to see and so much to do. And I know that some people aren't able to go and do something like that, but I think we can all get out and walk around the block or do something to see some new sights, breathe, get some fresh air, do something to get out of the house and get active. We both feel that's super important in your day.
And a walk can be a meditation in itself, really.
It can.
In silence.
There's walking meditation, without question.
That's right. From there, when we get back from our walk, we have our breakfast. And then Drew jumps on the computer and does some of his morning computer tasks. And then I do my morning routine. So I really enjoy journaling. So I journal. I also meditate, just not as long as Drew. Drew probably meditates for 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes. I do about 5-minute meditation, and I journal and I read. And we also stretch. So we make sure that we stretch every morning as well.
I forgot. I missed that. That's the first thing I do.
Before you step into the kitchen and make the magnesium and the tea and all that, you stretch.
Yeah. So first thing I do is I roll out. You go straight to the computer. Awesome to get your mind. Your mind is clear. I used to like to write first thing in the morning as well. It just works out better for us this way. But so Dorothy goes straight to the computer. I roll out the yoga mat, and we have a foam roller, and then I do my stretching and rolling, and then I get to the magnesium green tea. Sometimes I have breakfast before our walk, and then I'll get to my reading as well.
Mm-hmm. And that's pretty much the routine. That takes us until about 7 o'clock, 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. And then we start our intense work day.
then we get to work. Then it's a mad fury.
It is.
And I feel like with social media and emails coming in, the phone's going off, it's like we got to get all those things done before I open up my inbox, before I answer an email, before I answer social media. Otherwise, I feel like the whole day's upside down, or like I'm living in chaos if I don't get that morning routine in.
So I'm just kind of realizing this now as we're talking, but if we basically start our work day around 6:37, so that means that we have at least 2 hours or more from 4 a.m. to about 6:37, just for us, just for ourselves, to prepare ourselves to be successful for the day. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's a great point. I didn't even realize that.
I didn't realize that till we were just kind of talking it through.
I did an interview, and I forget who it was, but I did an interview in the past, and he says he gets up and he spends, I think there's a few people that said the same thing, but they spend an hour on themselves first. I think maybe Tommy Breedlove was one of them, and Chris, I can't remember his last name, but one of them did an hour meditation in the morning, and the other one did just me time, and when I was doing that interview, I thought to myself, like, wow, that's a lot of time, because I usually like wake up and then get to work. I used to do that, but now spending that time, taking that time for yourself, I feel like the opposite. Like if I didn't do that, I couldn't do my job properly.
And I should mention that we have been working on our morning routine for years. So if you're just jumping into it and this is a new concept or something new that you'd like to try out, we wouldn't suggest starting with 2 hours. We would suggest starting with one thing and start small. So maybe you start with 10 minutes to yourself in the morning, or even 5 minutes to yourself in the morning. And then once that's pretty solid and grounded, you can move on from there. I think it's also important to enjoy. So pick one activity you enjoy. And you can't really, or I wouldn't suggest that you copy someone else's routine. I mean, you can take things that you enjoy from someone else's routine. Like if you listen to our routine and you're like, yeah, I really like journaling too. But start with something that you really enjoy doing, because if you're waking up earlier than normal to do it, it has to be something you look forward to doing so that you keep doing it.
That's a great point. Without question, if you're doing something that you hate doing, you're not going to do it for very long.
That's right.
True Form Life.
All right, guys, that's going to wrap things up for this edition of Exploring Mind and Body. Dorothy, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure having you on the show.
Thanks for having me on, Drew. I enjoyed this one. Not that I don't enjoy the others too, but thanks as always for having me on.
Yeah, this is a good one. All right, guys, all past shows are going up on exploringmindandbody.com. You can check out all past shows there. We also have a free app that you can download on any Apple device. Head over to your app store, search for Exploring Mind and Body, download our show, and take us with you wherever you go. More details are at trueformlife.com. If you want to learn more about our magnesium supplement that we talked about earlier, that Dorothy and I take every morning. We also have Complete Truth Proteins, a great way to give your smoothies a boost of energy, or for some gluten-free baking. Again, trueformlife.com has all those details. We can definitely set you up and get you going in the right direction. Once again, give your morning routine a try. I think that there's so many benefits to getting things done in the morning, being more productive, finding a way to get yourself centered and prepared mentally, physically, emotionally. And when I say physically, it doesn't have to be a morning workout. It doesn't have to be even a run, for example. It could be something very simple like a morning walk. It doesn't have to be an hour. It can be 10 minutes. Walk around the block, do something that's going to wake you up, rejuvenate you, give you that energy we're talking about. And again, consider that productivity that helps you wake up in the morning, that will give you less distractions and give you more daylight as well. So that's going to wrap things up for this edition of Exploring Mind and Body. Once again, thank you so much for being here. We always appreciate your time and effort and energy coming in to see what we have going on each day. Once again, all past shows are going up on exploringmindandbody.com, or you can check out more details at trueformlife.com. That's it. That's all I got. I'm out of here. As always, I'm your host, Drew Tadia, in health and fitness for a better world. Thanks for listening.
You've been listening to Exploring Mind and Body with Trueform Life's Drew Tadia, fitness expert. To find out more about the show, Drew Tadia, or to listen to past shows, visit exploringmindandbody.com.